When you think of science, what do you think of? The atom, quantum computing, particle accelerators? Well, you're close, but that's popular science. Real science is like getting a microscope for Christmas. It's really cool, but mostly to a small subset of the population. Think about it this way. If you're real science, then your cool older brother who's away at college is like popular science. Way awesomer than you are, but we're stuck with you, the nerdy little brother. We do have quantum computers, but they're mostly used for relatively tame research, and if aliens do exist, we're not seeing them in your lifetime.
When you think of religion, what do you think of? Maybe this guy?
COVID-19!
COVID-19!
If you're a bit fond of religion, maybe the Catholic Church? Or maybe not. Point is, religion isn't very popular these days. Or maybe that too is missing the truth. If popular science is just how real science is portrayed by the public, then what is popular religion? That sounds like thinking I don't want to do right now, so I'll get back to that later. First, I want to ask you maybe a bit more lighthearted of a question. Is there a God?
Well, I haven't seen him, but then again, I'm not an astrophysicist. Maybe we should be asking somebody more well-informed?
Do you believe in God?
Me?
Creator?
Yeah, so I'm, the more I look at the universe, just the less convinced I am that there is something benevolent going on.
Well, I guess that settles it. A smart guy said people who believe in God are stupid.
Okay, let's not get so hasty. What's this about an appeal to authority fallacy? Basically, if you don't have qualifications in one area, it doesn't matter if you have qualifications in some other area. It's the reason we don't ask Hollywood for advice on vaccines or ask Kenneth Copeland to stop a pandemic. But there's a special relationship between science and religion that shouldn't be understated. There's a reason finding clips for this video was so easy. Everyone and their mother wants to ask popular scientists what they think about God. Maybe they know something that we don't.
First, I want to clear the room of a common misconception. Galileo was not an atheist. Darwin? Also not really an atheist. Heck, even Richard Dawkins is probably not an atheist. I'm going to do the thing again where I make a hot take and then I leave it alone and then, don't worry, I'll come back to it later. What is popular religion then? Well, popular religion's the other side of the coin of popular science. It's its rival, the thing that popular scientists warn us about, the other guy. But what a ridiculous false dichotomy that only religion or science can be correct. Just because God created man doesn't mean that evolution is evil. And just because we can't measure karma doesn't mean that it doesn't have an effect on the cycle of rebirths. That's right, religion isn't just the Judeo-Christian tradition. Another false dichotomy. Richard Dawkins, in his debates, struggles with this a lot. Here's a clip of him talking about the question, can atheists be good without God?
I think it would be very sad if it were true that you really did need religion in order to be good. Because if you think about it, what that would mean would be either that you get your morals and your values from the Bible or the Quran or some other holy book, or that you are good only because you're frightened of God, because you don't want to go to hell or you do want to go to heaven.
Dawkins claims you're either religious and you learned your fear of hell from a book, or you're an atheist. Well, it's not quite so simple. Jews don't have a well-defined concept of heaven or hell. Protestants believe in grace, often without even having to do anything. Zoroastrians believe in placement based upon conscience and don't even use their scripture. And Shinto scripture is story-based. So maybe popular religion, the thing Dawkins is attacking here, isn't religion at all. It's some concept that we as a Western society have dreamed up. So it sounds like Dawkins doesn't believe in popular religion. Well, that's okay. I don't either. So what does he believe in? Well, to answer this, I'm going to throw in a wild card from a comedian. Here's Ricky Gervais talking to Stephen Colbert about his religious beliefs.
I'm an agnostic atheist, technically. Agnostics means no one knows whether there's a God. So everyone's technically agnostic. We don't know.
Here's another way to see it. Darwin said, "What my own views may be is a question of no consequence to anyone but myself. But, as you may ask, I may state that my judgment often fluctuates. In my most extreme fluctuations, I have never been an atheist in the sense of denying the existence of a God. I think that generally, and more as I grow older, but not always, that an agnostic would be the more correct description of my state of mind. What do these have in common? They claim that you cannot know if there is a God. But do they claim that there is no God? Well, I'd hardly venture to say so. After all, you can't definitively disprove anything in science. Perhaps their worldview has led them to a point at which the practicality of religion simply makes no sense. This leads to the most succinct source I found on this subject, Stephen Hawking. I apologize that this isn't the most high-quality clip, but it'll have to do.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in. All our observations suggest that it operates according to well-defined laws. These laws may have been ordained by God, but it seems that he does not intervene in the universe to break the laws, at least, not once he had set the universe going.
All of these men, to differing degrees, believe we can't know God, but Hawking has said it best. Why does it matter what science thinks of God? We should focus on what we do know. This defines what I think these men are getting at when they say agnostic atheists. They ask, why are we spending so much effort on understanding religion? It's a waste. There are better things to do.
Well, scientists have put a lot of effort into questions that religion can't answer. What's the density of a hydrogen atom? How do you make a toaster? What happens when you put a fork in the microwave? And while science can answer questions like, how do you put out an electrical fire? It can't answer questions like, why in God's green earth would you stick a fork in the microwave? Okay, maybe religion can't answer that question either, but it still proves a point that I want to make. That is, science has some questions that it just can't answer. Missionaries of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints love to give out these pamphlets, which ask, where did I come from? What is my purpose in life? Where will I go after I die? You can summarize these up in one question. Why? Why am I here? Why bother? Why are we trying to use science to improve humanity anyway? Maybe you've heard this before.
Science tells us how things happen. Science tells us nothing about why there was the Big Bang, why there is a transition from inanimate matter to living matter. Science is silent on... we could solve most of the questions in science and it would leave all the problems of life almost completely untouched.
That clip came from a video of a debate between Richard Dawkins and a Christian pastor. Do you want to guess how Richard Dawkins responded to this question? Was it A, agreement, B, a well-thought-out criticism, or C, what a stupid question? Let's see.
Why, in any further sense than that, why in the sense of purpose, is, in my opinion, not a meaningful question. You cannot ask a question like, why do mountains exist, as though mountains have some kind of purpose. What you can say is, what are the causal factors that lead to the existence of mountains? And the same with life, and the same with the universe.
That's right. Dawkins believes that the question at the root of all religion is pointless, or, in other words...
Why is a silly question.
How could we even hope to reconcile this difference in perspective? Is that a 6-year-old book that defined the modern study of the history of science? It is! It's The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn. Ever hear the phrase paradigm shift? This is that guy. According to Kuhn, a paradigm is a universally recognized scientific achievement that, for a time, provides model problems and solutions to a community of practitioners. I apologize to anybody that's actually read Kuhn's work, but at the risk of oversimplification, I hope to explain what a paradigm is. Kuhn breaks the history of science into these paradigms. For example, astronomy before Galileo and Copernicus, the study of gases before the discovery of oxygen by Lavoisier, and so forth. Between these periods, we have periods of normal science. This normal science is what we learn in school from, textbooks and such. During these periods of normal science, we make hypotheses, we test them, and we incrementally improve science through these trials. But every once in a while, we'll get something that we don't quite understand, an anomaly. When we get enough of these anomalies, we realize that something fundamentally needs to change. In Kuhn's own words, a novel theory emerged only after pronounced failure in the normal problem-solving activity. At this point, Scientists undergo what religious people might call a crisis of faith. The physicist Wolfgang Pauli, before matrix mechanics revolutionized the field of quantum theory, said, "At the moment, physics is again terribly confused, and in any case, it is too difficult for me. And I wish I had been a movie comedian or something of the sort and had never heard of physics." So we've got paradigms where stuff is normal and periods of crisis where nothing makes sense anymore. It wouldn't be so bad though if it weren't for one more factor: incommensurability. Not only do these paradigms fundamentally disagree on their models, but comparing them just doesn't work because they use different words to describe the same concepts and the same words to describe different concepts. Back in Ptolemy's day, the moon was a planet, after all. When science is normal, we define rules and premises at the start of debate. Then, if the scientists disagree, we do math and studies and whatnot, and then at the end, a scientist is declared the victor or the loser. But when the rules and the premises differ, and they're fundamentally different, then you can't even start to debate. As Thomas Kuhn said, how can they even hope to talk together, much less be persuasive? Take, for example, this DVD. Give it to Aristotle, and he'll say it's shiny but useless. Give it to Einstein, and he could probably say that it's useful but couldn't tell you how. Give it to Tom Hanks, and he'd say, where's the DVD player? And give it to me, and I'll say, how the heck are we going to watch this? Go to the library or something? We all see the same DVD. Same inputs, but different responses. If I wanted to explain it to George Washington, I couldn't say, oh yeah, it's a form of data storage that lets you watch movies at home on your TV. Half those words wouldn't make sense to him. Is that because George Washington's an idiot? Hardly. You try starting a democracy sometime. Back to religion. Religion is a paradigm, but parallel to science. It answers questions in a language foreign to science, and its ideas are incommensurable with science. That is, you can't answer questions of science with religion, and you can't answer why with science. In Einstein's words, if one conceives of religion and science according to these definitions, then a conflict between them appears impossible. For science can only ascertain what is, but not what should be, and outside of its domain, value judgments of all kinds remain necessary. Religion, on the other hand, deals only with evaluations of human thought and action. It cannot justifiably speak of facts and relationships between facts. According to this interpretation, the well-known conflicts between religion and science in the past must all be ascribed to a misapprehension of the situation which has been described. Aristotle would claim that a DVD is useless. Religion would claim that knowing the exact distance to Mercury is useless in the eternal time frame, and Dawkins claims that
why is a silly question.
I really want to get this point across, so we're going to talk about it more. See, kids ask why all the time. Why is the sky blue? Well, because of the way light bends. Well, why does light bend that way? Because of the composition of molecules in the atmosphere. Well, why is it like that? I don't know, it just is. This isn't the type of why that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the opposite end of the y-axis. I'm asking the big questions, the Uncle Iroh level stuff.
It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
It's time for us to look inward. Have you ever taken time to do this for yourself? Have you ever asked why you're here? I'm sorry, Karl Popper, but just because we can't disprove something doesn't mean it's meaningless. In fact, why is the most important question we could be asking now, more than ever. Why are you here? Why are you alive? If we don't ask these questions, then Facebook and Google and Amazon will tell us who we are before we ever even figure it out. Contrary to the old folks, I balk at the idea that we are the self-absorbed, self-obsessed generation. We don't even know who we are. We have the world in our hands, limitless access to information never before seen in the history of humankind, and we have no control over it. We're told what's trendy and desirable on Amazon, what's funny on YouTube and TikTok, what the truth is from Google, what Facebook groups to join. The conquistadors conquered the Americas, but social media is conquering every waking moment of our lives. Never before has it been so important that we ask questions that have no answer. Never before has it been so important that we look inside ourselves and ask, why? Why am I here? Why does it matter that I'm nice? Why does it matter what I spend my time doing? The paradigm of science is simply not equipped to handle these questions. It asks how we can improve in humanity, but it doesn't ask why it matters that humanity is even worth improving. Why did I make this video? Yeah, it's for a term project, but I could have written a 10-page paper. That would have been easy. The script is already 10 pages. I guess I just wanted to ask why. I want to be sincere, and it's a heck of a lot more difficult to be sincere on paper. Did this video fulfill its purpose? I hope so.